Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Mattel Jurassic World figure to take a look at. This is a brand new basic version of the Proceratosaurus. Now we have had this figure in the past, so sculpt-wise I don't believe anything's going to be different with it. We just have a different paint scheme for this one compared to previous releases. As far as the packaging goes, you can clearly see I have the figure kind of sitting sideways because the basic figure's boxes are so tall, they're kind of a pain to get into screen, but you can see we have Velociraptor Blue and Beta right there, as well as the Jurassic World logo. And then if we turn it around here to the back, you can get a look at what other figures are in this wave of basics, all of which we've had before except for the Concavinator. That's the only one that's new besides the new Proceratosaurus we're about to take a look at. With this line, this wave of new basic figures. So let's pop this out of the box and check it out. And here is our Proceratosaurus, and it can't even get into screen exactly correctly. There we go. There's our brand new version of the Proceratosaurus, and it's not really that great, honestly. It's kind of lame as a whole, but I'm still happy to have something new from the basic line because we really haven't had a whole lot lately. But I would say this is probably, looking at it right now, one of the worst basic figures that we've ever had. The coloration isn't really anything all that impressive. It's nothing really to write home about. And on top of that, the sculpt is something we've had already a few times. And it's really not the greatest sculpt of the Proceratosaurus either. I really hate how short and ridiculous looking the tail is. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So as I've mentioned, we have reviewed this figure in the past. We've actually reviewed it quite a few times. I mostly do enjoy the sculpt of it, but the fact that the tail is so short makes it look ridiculous. And as a whole, the proportions are really quite off. You could see it just looking at it. So it's definitely not the best as far as the basic figures go when it comes to the sculpts, but I kind of enjoy it just because it is a Proceratosaurus. We don't have all that many figures of that species out. We have quite a few in the Mattel line, but outside of the Mattel line, there's not all that many. And, it's cool, but except for this really ugly looking tail that it has going on. But since we have reviewed the sculpt in the past, we don't need to go over it again. We're just going to look at what differentiates this from previous releases, and that would be the coloration. So straight away you can see the teeth are sculpted out, but we don't have any actual coloration for the teeth. They did not paint them. They do kind of have a glossy look to them, which is okay, but no paintwork. That's definitely a bummer for that area. We primarily have a greenish tone for the body of the Proceratosaurus, and then we have a dark brown that kind of runs up and over the crest of the dinosaur, and then kind of leaks down here into the snout, and you can see it kind of designs around the eye as well. We do have a yellow eye, and the pupil looks to potentially be the dark brown that we have there for that alternate tone of color. As you move down the course of the body, you see that dark brown kind of disappears, and then we pick up a darker green here in the lower part of the neck leading down into the arms, and then they kind of lead down here and take over the entire arm sculpt. Both arms are that greenish tone, and then as you lead back up, that's it. Now we're out of coloration. The rest of the body is just this greenish tone, and that's all there is. Like, there is nothing else going on with it. There's no alternate tone of color for the underside. The nails do not have paint on them, and neither do the nails on the fingers. So as a whole, it's probably one of the laziest of all of the basic figures, and definitely one that I don't really think is all that great. I really do like the older version of the Proceratosaurus quite a bit better as far as the basic figure goes, and I feel like they could have chosen almost any other species when it comes to these basic figures to give us a repaint of, and it probably would have been cooler than the Proceratosaurus, because I would say this is probably one of my least favorites of the basic line, even though I do like the, most of the sculpt. If we go from here up, I like it. Really don't like the tail. The tail drives me insane. But again, it's just such a lackluster paint job for this one that's, even worse than your average basic figure. Still fun to have something new from the basic line. It's just not a very good figure regardless. We do have some articulation on the figure, but not very much. Again, being basic, that means basic everything. We've got arm articulation, which is actually quite stiff. We also have leg articulation, forward and back. We do have swivel ankles and a tail that can move around. It can also swivel, and that's really about it. There's not a whole lot going on with the figure outside of that. But as a whole, I don't feel like we need to measure it. I don't feel like we need comparisons, any of that stuff. We've done all that in the past. If you want to see a more detailed look at the sculpt and all of the aspects to the figure, definitely check out the older review that I have up of the basic Proceratosaurus. But again, outside of that, it's just not really that great of a figure. It's cool-ish and had the potential to be cool as far as the coloration goes if they had just added maybe even a little bit more of that brown or the alternate green through the second half of the body. I think it could have been a pretty cool-looking version of a Proceratosaurus with a really quite nice-looking color scheme. But since they've just given it so little as far as the paintwork goes, I personally am not a very big fan of it. Even like just a little bit of striping along the tail or something could have made a world of difference for this. Again, you don't really expect perfection when it comes to the basic line, but I was at least hopeful for something a little bit better. And I'm not going to lie, if I didn't have to collect everything and I didn't have some sort of problem with my brain where I want to own every release that Mattel releases, or at least, the majority of them, and I think hopefully I can try to ease my way away from that mindset at some point, I wouldn't probably have even purchased this. And honestly, I didn't really look into it too much prior to actually buying it. I just knew it was a new variant of the Proceratosaurus, and since I try to buy everything from the Mattel line, I knew I wanted it. So I kind of almost placed the order blind, not really paying too much attention to it, and having it here again, definitely a bummer as far as this figure goes. Really not near as nice as the older release of the Proceratosaurus. If you are interested in it though, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase it, just in case you do want to grab this if you are a fan of it. Some people might like it, some people like me may not. But again, check the link in the description where you can go grab this for yourself if you are interested, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.